Welcome back, Trailblazer fans, to another edition of the Blazers Edge player review here on blazersedge.com. I am Sam Tung, back with the big guns, and that is Dave Decker. Dave, long time no see, and I was commenting before we got on the air here that you have one pretty spectacular beard that you're working right now.
Well, I'm a Portland native, so it's mandatory, right? Especially as winter comes. But I was telling Sam I kind of started a trend in my area. Everybody was clean shaven 6, 7 months ago, and then I got a goatee, and people started growing goatees. So I'm trying to outrace everybody. I don't know what's going to happen if everybody starts growing full beards. I have to comb my chest hair up or something like that. Who knows? So in any case. Good to be back with you. I've been enjoying your videos over the summer, the player reviews, and it's exciting to do some of the All-Stars.
Yeah, and the first one that we're going to be doing today here, Dave, is a one-time, first-time All-Star this season, and that is Damian Lillard, who now has made it from year one as the Rookie of the Year, now year two, an All-Star. So I think really the theme for this show today, Dave, is what is next for Damian Lillard in his progression and his really rocket ship to stardom right now, and how fast he is really bolting up the ranks of the league.
Yeah, well, it really depends, I suppose. As far as stardom itself goes, he's already there. His profile is sky high. Most people recognize him, recognize his name, obviously. He's now mentioned in the first sentence of Fine Young Point Guards, and sometimes in the first sentence of Best Point Guards in the league, period. So he has nothing left to prove there. He's going to be able to ride his way to, I think, a pretty good career as far as name recognition goes. As far as the basketball reputation itself, I suppose you could say all NBA teams being perpetually on them would be the next individual award. But really, I think when it comes down to it, the heart of the matter is he's got to be a winner. What's the proof in the pudding now? It is getting deep into the playoffs. It is taking your team towards a title or to a title. If you really want to cement your presence, not just for right now, but for all time as one of the great guards, I think that's where you have to go. So Lillard will need to work on his individual game, on his participation with the team in terms of chemistry and court awareness and stuff like that, some of the things we've talked about early in his career, and really figure out what it means to be a winner. And when he does that, and when his team finds that ultimate success, nothing will be able to dim his star, period.
And really what we're going to be able to see here, Dave, as we look at a lot of his stats, both a year-to-year comparison as well as him compared to a couple other guys that are at his point in their career, or at the same point in their career, you're going to see sometimes, his stats might not be tremendously better, but you do know that his impact on the floor, as a leader, and I mean, my goodness, what he did in the playoffs obviously is something that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. So certainly something that we're going to want to pay attention to. And let's get to the progress report, as we call it here on the player review, and look at the 2013 season compared to the 2014 season for Damian Lillard. And the first thing that I wanted to take a peek at here, Dave, is in the 2012 season, his minutes per game was one of the highest, not only for rookies, but in the NBA, period, as he averaged nearly 39 minutes a game, 38.9 minutes per game. He also shot a pretty impressive three-point percentage as a rookie, Dave, at just under 37%. He averaged 6 assists per 36 minutes, and the last thing that we have neglected to talk about, the defense. He gave the defensive rating, which is points allowed per 100 possessions, kind of an estimate of that. So the higher the defensive rating, the worse for the player. So in this case, his defensive rating was 112. So let's now fast forward to this most recent season. The minutes per game actually down nearly 3 minutes a game, Dave, to 35.8. Actually, I take it back, over 3 minutes a game, 35.8 minutes. But the three-point percentage went up to just under 40%, 39.4% for Lillard. And as we both know, the importance of that in the Trailblazer offense is hitting threes. His assists actually went down per 36 minutes, down to 5.6. And I have a green arrow in the down direction on this next one, Dave, for defensive rating. He actually improved defensively by knocking that rating down to 110. So a number of different things here. The first one, the minutes played, his overall assists actually dropped. But if you look at a couple of other things, a small improvement defensively, as well as a pretty big improvement in terms of shooting the three-pointer. So, I think at this point you have to think incremental steps for him, but at the same time, that's something where he's been so good so fast that you almost expect this thing to go as fast as it has for the first couple of years.
Well, you got to remember there's a difference in how he was used his first year versus his second year. His rookie season, the team won 33 games. LaMarcus Aldridge was injured for the latter half of the season. It was kind of toss Lillard the ball and see what he's going to do, right? So he spent a lot of time with the ball in his hands. That's going to give him more assists. It's going to give him, if not more shots, at least a different quality of shots. A little bit more Lillard-centric offense. It's outside of the scheme of things, so those shots get a little bit tougher. And, he's free to express himself on the court, but it's not really jiving with the rest of the team. It's more about him. Where his second season, this most recent one, he really fit in better with the general offensive scheme, got set up for better shots, at the cost of touching and dominating the ball a little bit less. And, the ball went through Aldridge, the ball went through Batum, and Lillard got to touch it sometimes, got to shoot sometimes. So it was good for him. Percentage-wise, probably his raw numbers, maybe not quite as good, but per minute, I think he still did okay. And overall effect on the team was still strong. So really, I think you look at him and you say, I'm not sure how much he improved in terms of individual skill or what have you, but his mesh with the team improved, and that was a benefit to the Trailblazers.
And to build on that point, Dave, the fact that he played a little bit more off-ball this year, and that's something that this team is probably going to expect him to do in the coming year, especially as Steve Blake comes in, obviously, in free agency. I think there's an expectation that either C.J. McCollum or Will Barton is going to get some more playing time, so you have to think that Lillard is going to get some more time to play some off-ball, which means that if you can get a couple more of those open three-pointers, you might even see that three-point percentage hit above 40%, which, as we all know, is quite a feat for a player to have that. And speaking of that shooting percentage, Dave, let's go into the player comparison and look at a couple of different players compared to Damian Lillard, where they are in their careers, and Lillard in a similar or at least comparable place in his career. We're going to toss up a couple stats here on the video board, starting with Damian Lillard. At a salary level of $3.3 million, we call this a bang for your buck, Dave, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but the fact that Lillard is making $3 million next year is an unbelievable deal for the Trailblazers. His true shooting percentage, which is a combination of both 2-point, 3-point, and free throw percentages, at 56.8%. He's also averaging 20.8 points per 36 minutes, and again, that defensive rating at 110. It's easier to do the per 36-minute ratio when you're comparing these different players. The second player hidden on your screen, Dave, making just a little bit less than Lillard is, but still at about that $3.3 million level. His true shooting percentage, though, much lower at sub 50%, 49.9%. He's also only averaging 17.8 points a game. However, a higher defensive rating, 105. And the third player hidden on your screen, $3.6 million. The true shooting percentage also below Lillard, but above 50% at 52.3%, averaging 19.4 points per 36 minutes. So really, all three of these players scorers. However, this player a defensive rating of 114, which even at Lillard's worst last season didn't even reach that level. So let's reveal these players now. The first player hidden is Kemba Walker, who was really a player that Charlotte really relied on last year offensively. You have to think that his role is going to change with Lance Stevenson now in the fold, but still kind of that combo athletic guard that was really a score first guard, much like Lillard is. And the third player is Brandon Knight, another score first player, as you can see by the defensive rating. There wasn't a whole lot of that going on for Brandon Knight last season, but he's also getting paid more than Damian Lillard. So those are the player comparisons, Dave. And I wanted to point out this too. Damian Lillard has the 181st richest contract in the NBA. So there are 180 players getting paid more than Damian Lillard is this season. The deal that the Trailblazers are getting with those numbers, the defensive part of it is slightly concerning, but guys that are even close to his salary level, Lillard is on a completely different planet than most of these other guys are.
Yeah, and when you hear people talk about the value of first-round picks and the value of drafting well, this is exactly what they're talking about. I mean, the Blazers are getting all-star level production on a rookie contract. Now, that's going to change very, very soon, obviously. Lillard is going to get paid at a max level, and that's probably going to be true throughout his career. So, the piper is coming, and you're going to have to pay him. But getting 4 or 5 years of this kind of production at that kind of salary really can springboard your team and allow you to do some things that you wouldn't be able to do if you were paying full price. So the Blazers are getting away with it for now, and they're happy to do so, and this is exactly why drafting is a preeminent skill for front offices in today's league. And, there's no arguing with it. Lillard is one of the finest young point guards, one of the finest on a rookie contract, one of the finest anywhere, and the Blazers will certainly take it. The guy that I'd be interested to compare him to, and the guy that probably statistically is closest to him, is Kyrie Irving. And it'll be interesting to see what Kyrie does this year with LeBron James and that team, as opposed to what Lillard does with his maturing team. Those two, even though Kyrie's been in the league a little bit longer, those two are kind of on parallel tracks, or at least coming out of the same stem. And we'll see what blossoms here. They're both good. Let's see which one ends up being able to produce when their team needs to attain those victories to reach the next level.
Well, and just taking a quick peek at Kyrie, Dave, I mean, he did have a higher per 36-minute output, also shot 39% from beyond the arc, but you also have to think, too, just the situation was different because Kyrie didn't have a LaMarcus Aldridge on that team like he will. He's going to have two guys, and you could argue both of them are better than LaMarcus. The last thing that I wanted to touch on, Dave, with Damian, and it's something that we could talk about for probably hours, have a discussion about it, but the importance of Lillard in the overall almost like non-basketball way, the way that he has put Portland on the map. I mean, when was the last time you saw a Trailblazer on a national commercial? And the way that I think that there's a lot of people that think that maybe he has the ability to draw free agents like the Trailblazers haven't been able to do before because of his national exposure. What do you think that it means for the Trailblazers organization off the court to have a guy that's only 23, 24 years old to have the type of impact that he's having between not only the All-Star appearances but the 4-Bar Friday campaign, his all the All-Star stuff that he was going through, the Olympic team, everything that he's done that's outside the Trailblazers? How much do you think that that's boosting the stock of the Trailblazers right now?
Well, we're going to find out. I think as long as he plays well, that will persist. And the fact that if he chooses to remain in Portland, that gives the Blazers credibility, I think, with other NBA players, that this becomes a little bit more of a destination spot, that you can get ad dollars if you're here, that this is a place where the spotlight will shine and not in the hinterlands of the Pacific Northwest where nobody knows where you are. And that could be significant. We're not sure because, frankly, when have the Blazers ever had that kind of personality on the national stage? I don't think it's ever happened, period. If you go back to Clyde Drexler, who was the last major superstar. I mean, he signed with Avia shoes. He never really made that much of a national splash. Everybody knew who he was on the court. Everybody knew he was an all-star. People knew his dunks and had his posters. But in terms of a national ad campaign, that was all about Jordan and Barkley and what have you. When the Blazers got good in 2000, that was a team with Rasheed Wallace and Arvydas Sabonis and Damon Stoudemire. No way they were ending up on a national ad docket. The Blazers were the jail Blazers after that. If you go back to Bill Walton, there just weren't national ad campaigns, period, back then the way they are now. So this has never happened to Portland, really. I mean, not with a player that I can remember. So we're going to see how much cachet, how much credibility this brings. I think at least you can say it doesn't hurt. That the reflection, Lillard's kind of like a disco ball up there. The spotlight's going to shine on him, and he's going to reflect it and refract it among all his teammates. As long as the team keeps winning, that's going to be great. Now, if they don't win, it's not going to matter because that spotlight's going to fade, or it's just going to hit Lillard and he's going to absorb it. So it will be all about how many W's they can get and whether they can get into the postseason and remain credible as a threat. And as long as you have that coupled with the ad campaigns and what have you, I think the Blazers are good to go for a long time now.
Well, in year one, it was a Rookie of the Year. In year two, it was an All-Star and All-NBA performance from Damian, and it will be interesting to see how Lillard performs in year number 3. And that's going to do it for our player review of Damian Lillard here today. For Dave Deckard, I'm Sam Tung. We appreciate you joining us here for another player review. We have a couple more, so stay tuned, especially as we get closer and closer to training camp. So a lot to get to as Trailblazer season is going to tip off in just about a month from now. So pretty exciting stuff here on Blazers Edge. Stay tuned for it. We'll talk to you all soon here on BlazersEdge.com.